That'll get it shut down, right?
No,
Well, I guess you have Montana Ricky, so you're probably not.
nope,
Actually,
definitely no worries about that. But the whole concept of that sucks is that if you don't keep up with it from the very beginning, it is the worst to go back and remember and find stuff and track things down.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, you'd have to watch everything and catalog everything from the beginning for sure.
Which I kind of do. In Premiere, I just change the color of something on the timeline to a matching color so that later I
Yeah.
can pull all of the same clips out. Uh,
Okay.
we kind of skipped the intro here. I'm with Ryan Fudger of our BMX. We're talking about BMX, and currently we're talking about doing. It came from the comment about the video I just finished and went into a idea of like a compilation type video thing.
Yeah. I mean, I just think people don't necessarily care that much if it's presented differently. It's the same ingredients but presented differently, and
Well, I mean,
present.
look at what Hamilton's been doing for the past few years since he got a
Yeah,
smartphone.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Yup. Uh, so we can get right on into it, and let's see. The first thing I texted my buddy Sponge and told him I was doing this, and I said, "What should I ask him?" And he goes, "A lot of Vic Murphy questions," which I thought was pretty funny.
all right.
I don't even know where to begin with
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean Vic's just doing his thing, man. He definitely shaped Gary and myself's that was a great sentence, our lives,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of helping Gary get out there, and then he, in the same way that he did for Gary, it was like when Vic got an interview, I was the one that did the interview for Ride UK and stuff like that. So I was doing, and he introduced me to Bart DeJong back in the day from Fat BMX. So I did a couple things for them, and so he helped me in that sense, and just kind of the industry of BMX kind of got a little bit weird for him and all that stuff. But, and, just running a bike brand was a little bit hard, but he's still riding and doing his thing. And, I don't think I assume people that actually really follow Vic know that he's like pretty Christian. He's a preacher and he goes around the world to like Africa and does BMX shows and stuff like that. And is pretty well known for that. So he
Wow.
and he does and he doesn't age either. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but he literally looks exactly the same today that he did about 16 years ago. So like when I was 18, we drove across the country and he looked exactly the same as he does right now.
That's
So
so funny.
same clothes, everything, camo shorts, red flannel, and just doing his thing.
That's gonna be me when I'm 40 with this same haircut.
Yeah, that's your signature at this point. But
Yeah, there's no getting
I
rid
don't
of
know.
this.
Maybe some signatures are worth changing.
Maybe I'm
Maybe
stuck in 2006.
Nyquist
Um,
actually Nyquist on a trip tried to change my signature, my actual signature.
really? Like your handwritten signature?
Yeah, it was like we were in Japan or something, and like people are like, "Oh, let me get your autograph," and I'm like, "No, you don't want my autograph." But like they want it, so you just sign. My signature is literally like a bunch of circles. So he was like, "Dude, you need to," and he tried to like actually, was like maybe something like this, and was like he was like writing my name down and trying to like give me some 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 knowledge, some PR knowledge on how to make a good signature, but
That's really funny.
it didn't stick. So
Signature lessons with Nyquist. That just reminds me of a time, I think it was even before BMX, where my neighbor and I, the guy who got me into riding, was like, we should figure out our signatures. So we got like printer paper and was just writing our names like as many times as we could just on paper.
yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. It's a time waster. So when people have their signature and it's like 20 seconds long, I'm like just circles. That's it.
Yep,
So
absolutely. There's a lot of Dirt Brothers stuff going on right now. I feel like I need a complete rundown of Dirt Brothers because I don't even know anything other than the name.
Yeah, so Dirt Bros was more, it kind of evolved just like a lot of companies evolve. It was a crew of riders that were pretty cutting edge, like kind of anti, in the era of BMX. And obviously this is before my time, so anybody that actually knows the answers to this, like we were little kids and Vic was already Vic by the time we'd seen him. We didn't know that he was, oh my God, he was Vic Murphy. Like, he was just Vic. Um, so he, uh, they were all obviously Vic has the best tabletop in the world. There's Brad Blanchard. There was Jim Sibley who ran it kind of on the industry side. Uh, Pete Augustin, all those dudes. What's his name? Ronnie Farmer. There was a video that basically it was just a San Diego crew, and they were just some dirtbag dudes that rode street and just kind of uh, formed a lot of modern day street riding. I mean, we did that 30-year video, and that was all those clips in there were essentially Dirt Bros dudes, and all those clips were really within like a couple of square miles. So they just pedaled around and filmed, and their style of riding and the stuff that they did still sticks around today, and it just had a huge influence on people. So
Are you
it may
talking
not.
about? Sorry, what?
Oh yeah, I mean, it just the idea of pedaling around and riding street and like and kind of being, for lack of a word, like little shitbags or aggro little BMXers pedaling around and just like running into trash cans and stuff like that. Like that was Dirt Bros,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't sound that crazy now, but like that really appealed to a lot of people back then, and they just kind of portrayed that idea of kind of street riding.
That's interesting because I honestly I didn't even know that Dirt Bros was really a company. I think I heard something about a frame or something along those lines before, but other than that, I had no idea.
Yeah, so there's two generations of that as well. So they had Dirt Bros, which were the original frames were like rebranded Skyway TA frames or something, and then the later generation, which was what Gary and I rode, um, and and it was cool. Like I mean, as I said, I mean it was a very salad days portion of our life. It catapulted us, not necessarily like in the sense of like into the industry, but like molded us and made connections with the people uh, that we still care for. That
Yeah.
had a great influence on us when we were younger.
Yeah, it's crazy to think you said that Vic was already Vic whenever you like met him. And to think about that is crazy because how huge and legendary he is in BMX, but when you met him, you had like you just he was Vic.
Yeah, it was just Vic. Yeah, and I mean, even when you meet him today, like he's still, I mean, he would never ever come across like that. He's super
Yeah.
humbled, and even if I mean, as I said, he doesn't age like he does. He wears essentially the same style outfit that he did 20 years ago that he today. So he just kind of has his way of life, and it's pretty admirable. Even if I don't necessarily like agree with
Mm-hmm.
certain aspects of whatever I don't want to get like into religion and all that stuff, but it's like we don't see eye to eye on stuff like that. But like the way he carries himself and the way he lives his life is super admirable. So
That's cool. What are the chances of a Vic Murphy unclicked?
that'd be cool. I've thought about that. It, it's hard. It's hard because I almost feel like I need somebody a fourth person in there because Dennis definitely doesn't know, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like proper enough to really sit in and do that. But yeah, Vic and Volker and those dudes are definitely on our list of unclicked
Dude, you
people.
should get like have you in the room just to like work the equipment and then have like three other dudes like that at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard because they just get into old guy stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like you want to bring it back and relate it to kind of the current audience. But yeah, I mean, those dudes. I mean, I've hung around all those dudes. They definitely have stories for days. So
Well, you might be surprised though, even like right now, most of the people watching us are older dudes who are like relating to the Dirt Bro stuff and like
oh
remembering it from that time. So there's definitely like a demographic of people who are specifically for that. It might not obviously
yeah,
be the our BMX demographic, but there are people out there
yeah.
who
No, for sure. Yeah, it is. I mean, but you kind of want to make it for everybody, and you want to
true.
teach because those dudes know why Vic is awesome and why he was important. But the people that, if you don't do a good job of cluing in the audience that doesn't know, they're just going to be like, I'm out. So,
Right.
uh, you definitely have to be conscious of like tying that in and being like, hey, you like the way that street riding is, or you like the way I'm trying to think of, I mean, in a fucking sense, I mean, there's definitely some heavy jumps in there, but like if your favorite rider is Brandon Began,
Mm-hmm.
like Ronnie Farmer did it first, like this guy did it first, like before him. So
Yeah.
it's like you need to respect that, but you know, but
My
not actually
brain.
not actually making that statement, but just saying that there are connections there.
Well, maybe that's a place where someone like our BMX or you or people like that could bridge the gap for kids and be like, look, what is popular now happened
Yeah.
back
No, I mean,
then. It'd
yeah,
be cool.
I mean, like I said, like that 30-year video, I think that was kind of the idea. Is one is like it's a miracle that those spots even exist
You're
30
talking
years.
about the one where you guys went and rode the same spots from the video, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So, um, because I mean, I watched the entire there's a video called Cheese and Ride On and Eddie Roman's Ride On,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched a lot of those videos, and I'm like, I know where that's at, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And literally from the time, so I grabbed all the clips that I recognized and that I could find, and I have them on a separate timeline and a video that I exported with like the address. And in the time that I made that, which was, I guess that was definitely during COVID, so like March or April or something, one of the spots is gone.
Wow.
So it's like, it's just how quickly they get like taken away, because those spots are just, they don't stick around forever. And so the idea was definitely to show that, that people have been doing this same shit for 30 years.
Right.
Like that like, hey, this cool thing that Gary just manualed a wall like out of a bank, and like somebody did that same exact trick 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
It's pretty
So
crazy, honestly.
yeah, so like kind of showing kids stuff like that is interesting, um but and that's the goal essentially, is to they're not going to remember who Carlo Wick is, of course, but they're going to be like, dude, people were doing stuff like that 30 years ago. That's crazy,
Yeah.
and they don't, and their goal, and they weren't trying to watch a video 30 years ago. You know what
Right.
I mean? So it's like you trick them.
Well, even my brain now is going to something like a funny or not funny, fun concept of something like taking one of these older guys who still rides who might like not stay totally in touch with like the pulse of BMX now, then
Yeah,
taking a kid who has no idea about BMX 30 years ago and getting them both together at the same time and like showing one something from each other's generation. Be like, look,
yeah.
this.
No, there's definitely, yeah, that's the old, that's, I literally have the YouTube idea of old guys reacting to new edits.
Yeah.
So, like getting Volker over and having him watch some stuff,
Oh,
and
dude, it'd be so sick.
like things like that, where it's like kind of bringing that across. And I mean, trying to show Volker a Yumi edit and just see what he thinks. You know what I
Oh my
mean? Like
god.
stuff like that, where it's
I
just
don't
like,
need to laugh. I'm laughing at what his potential reaction could be to like
yeah,
the
ex-
difference.
exactly. So like it's stuff like that, and then yeah, there's definitely a lot of directions you could go with the old new style stuff. But
Right.
that idea is literally is on my list of
Man,
ideas.
that would be
So
so awesome.
well, I mean, I get rooftop in here, but that would be easy.
Yeah, that even
But
just
he would just hate. So
yeah, but I re-listened to his Feeble Talk the other recently or something like that, and I was like, God, we need more people who just talk this honestly.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I definitely like that one. So, and that that one got slept on for whatever 8 months or something. But yeah, rooftop. He's been coming down. That I don't know if you saw that Instagram post that he did of digging out like a quarter pipe and like putting some cement in like a sewer hole, a sewer manhole cover thing.
No.
Um, somebody can foot planted it literally 30 years ago, probably in like Ride On or something like that. And that spot is down the street from my house. So he's been coming down to San Diego quite a bunch.
Is
So
that the one that Gary posted? The same spot?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I do remember seeing Gary post something of a spot that he rode so many years ago, and then they uncovered it, and it was the
Yeah,
same.
that's the spot. Yeah, this one I don't know if you could
Yep,
actually see. But
that's it.
yeah, yeah. So that's like a mile and a half from my house. So
Huh. Somebody in the chat just said, let's talk about Home Avenue Ditch.
Home Avenue ditch, it's still there. Yeah, it is still there. That going back to the 30-year, the spots going away type thing is that San Diego actually has a plan. Somebody sent it to me like maybe 10 months ago or a year ago, that within a couple of years are actually going to tear out half of the ditch and kind of, I guess, I mean, we'll go down the rabbit hole, but is like the idea of like the concreted ditches are it's an old idea
Oh, I
because
see.
they needed to do that aqueduct to direct the water, and I guess now they realize they can do that naturally, and
Oh,
they don't have to do that. So they're actually going to tear out half or maybe like a third of Home Avenue ditch. Fortunately, it's the half or the third that nobody rides.
oh, gotcha. Well,
But
that's good at least.
but I mean the ultimate goal is to get rid of it eventually, which is pretty crazy. But as of now, it's still there. I mean, all the spots are still somewhat rideable. It's just like, I mean, it's a wash, so sometimes stuff gets a little bit, backed up down there, down near the newest additions, and then for a while it was like the the shrubbery and everything was so overgrown that it was kind of like a homeless haven.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was kind of gnarly. But I haven't been down there in a while. But
Interesting.
I keep meaning to steal this rail that is like bolted to a wall and then bolt it in down there, but I haven't done it. But
Gotcha. Um, we kind of started talking about the RBMX stuff. I told you I wanted to talk about that. Um, it's been a little over a year, hasn't it? Or
yeah, something like that. No, when was it? Yeah, like a year and a half. It's like kind of April, March, because we didn't really like we started it, but we didn't really start it
yeah.
like so. Um, I have it somewhere if it really matters, but
No,
it's like April. Yeah,
I was just kind of curious. Are you happy with where things are at? Where
yeah,
everything's at?
yeah. Overall, for sure. I mean, I think just at times I get like very overworked and burnt out
Mm-hmm.
because it is a lot of work, and I'm the only full time editorial person. Adam Watkins is his main focus is our BMX as well, but kind of on the administrative. He does some Instagram posting and does what he can outside of that, but the bulk of it kind of rests on my shoulders, so I get a little burnt out. But thankfully, we have Pat, we have Justin, we have Jeff, and then Tom Perry, which you may or may not know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's the one that edits Unclicked, and he does some kind of just some simple edits that I don't necessarily want to do or can't. Like it just get a
Yeah.
little overwhelming. Um, but but yeah, I mean, my goal is hopefully I'm happy with where things. So to rewind before I just start bitching, I guess. The I'm happy with where things are. I'm just my immediate thought is like yeah, I'm a little overworked right now, so that's my immediate thought, and I want to see if we can try and get somebody else full time, within the first couple months of next year or something like that. If that's one of the current dudes, or I don't know what it I haven't put too much thought into it, but um, COVID stuff hurt us in a sense that, like from a growth standpoint, I guess, like YouTube subscribers or whatever. Like I think July of 2019 was like our best month, where
Yeah.
we got like 14 or 15,000 subscribers in a single month, and it was like that was more related to kind of X Games and Vans events and all the stuff
Yeah.
happening, and like all that content that we're able to produce makes the channel grow quicker. So I think we got kind of hurt in that sense, but outside of that, like I think we were able to kind of pivot as a, not to use a power logic word, but like able to pivot our content and stay busy. I mean, like honestly, I don't even know if like Unclicked would exist in the same capacity that it does right now if COVID didn't happen, because
Yeah.
both Dennis and I wouldn't have been able to focus on it, and just like I know Dennis is basically home. Like I'm like, oh,
Right.
like if I hit up Ty or something, and he's like, yeah, I can do it on Wednesday, and I'm like, all right, that should be good. And I hit Dennis, and he's like, yeah, I'm home. Where normally it's like
You
neither
have
of
a 2 day
Ty's
window.
not home. Ty's not home. I'm not home. Dennis isn't home, and we curb it for 3 months.
Right.
Um, so that I don't think it would exist in the same capacity. So it's had its upsides for sure.
Yeah.
So
Right place, right time kind of thing for the unclicked side of it. Well, okay,
yeah,
so how does where it's at now compare to where you thought it might be in a year? I'm curious.
better. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think better overall. And I mean, I think having the at BMX Instagram account has helped out there a bunch, because I
Mm-hmm.
just burden of the burden of getting a follow is just not isn't hard. Like somebody looks at it and they go, "Oh, I like BMX. This is BMX." And they follow it. They may not have any idea what our BMX is, but they follow it. So I think that's helped with the growth there. And like it or not, that's Instagram followers are important, unfortunately. So
It's just
uh,
the reality of
yeah, I mean
2020.
that's essentially is what when we work with a company, we're selling our reach.
Yeah.
So we're selling the idea, if we host a video on YouTube, that it's going to get more views, and
Right.
so if it doesn't, then where's the value? So that's an important thing to us, and and we've done that completely organically, like literally haven't spent a single dollar on any platforms to like advertise that. It's all just been like content and word of mouth and whatever. So
Yeah, I was watching videos the other day and I had the realization that not in regards to philosophy or values or morals or anything like that, but
yeah,
our BMX is kind of in the position, as far as YouTube goes, as the come up was like 6 years ago, where you guys are uploading videos to your channel that
yeah,
otherwise would have gotten a couple hundred or thousand views that are now getting tens of thousands of views because
yeah,
it's on the channel.
yeah, and that's a cool thing to be able to do, for riders that aren't necessarily known. But we had to, because we're almost doing like a video a day or something,
Mm-hmm.
with the viewer video stuff. Like my idea originally was like, oh, I'm going to put the email address in the intro and people will submit their videos. But little did I know that it would work really, really well. And it got to the point where it was like, and it's hard to like tell people no. It's easy to say yes, like, oh, dude, that video was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you tell people no, and then they're like, hey, can you offer me some critiques? Or they get bummed out, or like there was a fucking God, there was like a an Instagram account dedicated to me recently because I told the kid, because a kid was like submitting his videos, and I was like, I I said no, or in a nice way. Like I have like coined responses, and then I fill it in with a couple of like personal touches and stuff like
Yeah.
that I copy paste in. And the kid just was super bummed and just pissed at me. And it got hard, and the emails with videos would sit there for 10 days, and I didn't have a time, and it just became so overwhelming that it was getting in the way of the stuff that I needed to do. So I just had to stop, essentially. So
Yeah, it kind
so
of feels
that's
like a
just
case
like,
of what's up?
oh, I was gonna say, and so we just we trimmed that down a whole bunch. And and fortunately, I think Dig does a great job of getting those videos out there. So at least there's still a home for them, I think. But we just don't have the manpower to like do stuff like that. So
Yeah, it kind of feels like a case of just like it was with the come up when it was at its peak. You sent a video in and you just either it ended up on the site or you didn't get a reply.
yeah, I mean that's the thing is I always try to reply. I always wanted to be nice and be like,
Yeah,
hey, like this doesn't really fit what we're looking for, like blah blah blah. Like you you're a good bike rider, but like keep at it and send me your next video and we can see. Like that was
hmm,
generally my like total, like my coined copy paste response to people. So, but it became so overwhelming. It'd be like 10, 15 videos a day, which may not sound like a lot, but if each video is 5 minutes long and then you spend 5 to 10 minutes on a reply, it's like
a couple
that's
hours.
yeah, that's 3 hours of your day, you know, that you
Yeah.
don't, and sometimes you're not feeling that. Sometimes you don't want to watch 15 videos of mediocre bike riding, no fun, like of like middle grade bike riding.
Yeah,
So
and that's the thing. You have to click play to know what's in it. You can't just
exactly.
not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's understandable, but hopefully when you say you want to hire somebody else full time, hopefully when you get to that place, you'll be able to do more stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been bouncing around like spin-off channels too, like kind of hosting that style stuff on a different channel. But obviously, I'd have to build that channel up.
Yeah.
And then I still debate on doing an unclick channel as well, and bringing that stuff over to a different channel. But I just don't. I don't know what the right answer is necessarily. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, hearing that, I feel like as somebody who uploads to YouTube on a daily basis, and like my entire life is an obsession with trying to figure out how to take advantage of what YouTube has to offer.
yeah,
Uh, I love the idea of it, the central hub being the Our BMX thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then branching off of it. I don't know from there though.
Yeah. No, I mean it's like if you look at the Nine Club stuff, and it's like they have the Nine Club, and then they have the Nine Club like highlights.
Yeah.
And so the highlights, I feel like I could do the Unclick podcast for a while, where it's just the highlights and kind of the snippets, like it's you know Nastasio talking about his near death experience or whatever. Nastasio and
Mm-hmm.
Nyquist steals Nastasio's X Games medal.
That was so funny.
Yeah, Dak talks about anxiety and OCD and those style things like Gary, you know, shutting down Red Bull and stuff like that. Like those style highlights that I think would do well and that are interesting stories within the thing that maybe not everybody saw because they're sandwiched between an hour long thing and they don't have the time or that's just not their style. They can sit down for 4 minutes or hold their phone up for 4 minutes and watch that stuff. So doing that style stuff and kind of trying to build up the channel like that, and then maybe even dual hosting the podcast for a little while, and just you know promoting the Unclick channel on the Hour channel and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But another 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 in the works.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
But I
so
mean,
many
even right,
irons.
it's been like we've been sleeping. I think the last Unclicked was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I mean, it was supposed to come out a while ago. But such is life.
Yep. With all of that growth and everything, how do you feel about the responsibility that comes with the power of having the being in the position that Our BMX is in BMX?
Um, I mean, it's not new. I mean, I guess in the sense of like Ride was way gnarlier,
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Ride was in a lot of ways. Sorry, my OCD's clicking in. I have to fix the speaker. Uh, no, I don't actually have OCD, so sorry. Don't let the comments go nuts on that. Uh, uh, Ride was starting hour was easier in a lot of ways because I didn't have to live up to the legacy of Ride,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Because it was anything if I fucking started doing vlogs on Ride, like it would be like, back when Ride, in the vlog era, like if I was just like, hey, what's up, talking to the camera, no offense, but like if I was talking to the camera and doing vlogs like, 5 years ago on Ride, people would have lost their mind, like because it was on Ride, because this is what Ride BMX has become, like those sort of things where when we're starting from zero with our BMX and it's a reflection of, you know, we're it wasn't a magazine.
Hmm.
Like our BMX was never a magazine. It was never you know, the world's leading whatever. So it could be whatever. So I think that relieved a lot of pressure, and allowed me to kind of do the more some of the stuff that I in my coreness I feel isn't cool. The 2-year-old's trying to break in right now.
That's okay.
I locked it, but you hear him.
That's
um,
funny.
the core. I'm tempted to just let him in.
Hey, that's up to you. This is all freestyle. Oh, too funny.
He can come in. Yeah, I'm finding it entertaining for a second. Come here.
What do you guys
Come
think
here.
so far? We doing good? Of course, this is when a bunch of people are going to join in. It's funny.
There you go. Oh my God. You say
There it
hi?
is.
Oh,
What's
where's
up, bud?
Lola?
Kid just got
um,
shy.
yeah, I know. I got super shy. Um, the idea of it, I kind of lost my train of
You
thought,
were
but
talking about your core and doing things that you don't
yeah,
necessarily think
because
are
yeah,
cool.
because I battle with that a bunch, like of like, oh, I don't necessarily think this is cool. So here, play right here, dude. Do you want to grab him? Here, just grab it. He just wants to draw. Mama's gonna draw with you. Mama's got it right there. Um, or take it to the living room.
Over here. Let's go in the living room. This is real life.
Bye.
Bye.
uh, that it wasn't. I've never pointed the camera. I've never gone like I've done like kind of the 30-year, but I'll just keep going with that one. The
Yeah.
30-year spot. I talk into the camera. I've never pointed the camera at myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's just like yeah. There's a cat in here now too. Uh, that's just my personal. I have an issue with that because as when I started at Ride, it was never about me. It was
Yeah.
about the other people, and I struggle. Your channel's called Brant Moore, but like that's totally fine because when
Mm.
somebody clicks on it, it's about you. Our channel's not Ryan Fudger,
Yeah.
So while it's definitely a reflection of me, I don't want to make it totally about me. And being on Unclicked is actually like made it a lot easier to be on camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to do those source videos and stuff like that, and so like it makes it a lot easier, but it's still difficult for me in the wild, so
Yeah. So what I would say to that is maybe don't think about it as much if you ended up having to point to, obviously you don't have to do anything, but like if you ever ended up doing that, I think of it more as a host like position where you're bringing people along with the story, so you're giving the context that can get them from point A to point B that without that might make something not make
oh
any
yeah,
sense.
that's a total struggle for sure, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's I've gotten that's why there's some reoccurring characters within the kind of the vlog style stuff, because they are good at
Yeah.
kind of, and they're down with talking on the camera. So um, yeah, that's just, and like I said, I'm not saying I'm right with
Yeah.
any of that. I'm just saying like that's my own personal hiccup, and with Ride that was a lot more prevalent. Where with our the pressure of it being some a media outlet's not really there because it was more chill. It's more chill compared to Ride. Like when like fucking when Plus went out of business, there was posts on whatever various forums like "Don't fuck it up, Fudger," because it was like Ride was the last one. Ride was the
Wow.
last one, but like it was stuff like that, and it's
Yeah.
like dude, I'm not capable of saving BMX print media.
Right.
Like sometimes the fucking the ship is just going the direction that it's going, and you know, but yeah, but the whole Ride thing is definitely interesting. And as you can tell, like I still have like Ride covers and stuff up on the wall. Like I am not bummed at Ride by any means about any of the stuff that happened.
Yeah.
I love Ride. I wish it was still around, and that whole thing is so absolutely bizarre that it just. I mean, it's still unexplainable in a lot of ways. They basically took, and it's not even Ride at this point. It's essentially all of the Trans World titles because all
I
those.
saw that update.
Yeah, so I said that in the Nastasio thing, but all those dudes got let go essentially at
Yeah.
this point. Trans World Skate's still around, but Trans World Skate's I don't know fuck I don't even know if I should be saying this, but Trans World Skate's only still around because Dew Tour has a massive contract with the company to do Dew Tours, and
Mm.
Trans World Skate is directly connected to it. So and once that contract runs out, they're getting rid of Trans World Skate, apparently.
Hmm.
So those brands are all in the same fucking position that we were, and they're not selling the brands to those people. And so like the people that have all the equivalent of Jeff and myself and Adam, all those people can't own their own brands. So
Yeah.
that they've built up, So it's fucking it's very weird that like it's the people, I guess, is where I was going. Is that it's not it's the shot callers and all that stuff. Like I'm not bitter towards Rider whatsoever or anything
Right.
like that. So
Right. Well,
I'm bitter at tax write-offs apparently.
no
But
kidding.
essentially, I think that's the only thing that actually makes sense is you buy a company, and then if it doesn't perform a certain level, I think you can write it off, and it's more valuable to write it off than it is to sell it
That's
to
so
people to normal people like us, not venture capitalists. So yeah,
crazy
it's
world that is, and there wasn't even a chance given either.
yeah, so it's pretty nuts.
Well, let's take
But
it to a happy part with Ride because one of the things that somebody brought up was a really, really good one. My buddy Sponge said to ask you if you had a favorite or memorable letter from the letter section in Ride.
Uh, this one's the one that I always think of with this is that there was a dude, and I can't even describe the letters properly, but it was like kind of like almost like they were almost like ransom letters. Like there'd be like pasted in like collages
Yeah.
and words spelled out with different letters, and then it would be from the form of like a robot or some sentient being or something, and they would just and it would be like sometimes it'd be poems, sometimes it'd just be like a couple pages of just kind of like funny ramblings, but it was all BMX related, and I had no idea what to do with them. And
Huh.
like I don't know where they went, but they were like amazing, and they came in like there was like five or six of them, and they came in, but I just had no idea how to present them in the magazine, so I never did
Yeah.
any of them, and I think the kid gave up or the guy gave up, and like he never
Man.
never got a reply from me or anything like that. Like I'm like, dude, this is amazing, and then I guess that's yeah, and then a bunch of people hated me, of course, and you said happy, but
Oh my
and a bunch of
God, I
people,
can't even imagine it.
and then a
Hate
bunch of people
mail.
hated me because I didn't like things like I was just because of like the the style of the ride letters was always to be a dick. So I just kept that going from Magoo to James Shepard, etc. Like Jeff Z answered the letters a couple months, but that, it was, I think Sounding did it, and everybody was a dick. So I just kept it going for the most part. And it was like I would just like drink a bunch, and then be a dick, and then correct my bad spelling and grammar the next day, and then that would be the letters. So,
Man, that's funny.
and a bunch of people hated me because they just thought I was a total asshole. But I'm like, oh, it's like kind of a character,
Yeah.
like it's in there. Of course, it's in there somewhere, like, but
It just takes some alcohol.
yeah, but it was more of a character. It was like trying to be a dickhead more than anything else. And a lot of people thought I really was like just an outright dickhead, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Man,
So,
that would be so cool to get like you and Z and oh yeah, you're good.
sorry, go ahead. You
I was just
means
gonna say it would be really awesome to have like a I know I just keep giving ideas, but all these things pop into my head to have like you and Z and whoever else from Ride do a Unclicked or something, just talking about memories from stuff like that that just no
I
one would
know,
ever know about.
I know. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of them. There was some cool times, like I'm trying to think back, but I just think when I first started the Brad McDonald, um, who created Ride and created Vital as well. He came in at some point. It was definitely the first like week or two, and he was like, and he was I think he was trying to spook me because I was the new guy, and he's like, hey guys, just a heads up, later today, the company is enforcing they're doing a drug test. It's mandatory, like everybody has to take it, and if you don't pass, you have to be let go, and like I didn't smoke weed, so I was just like, okay, yeah, no problem. And then Jeff was just like fucking sweating balls for like a and then he was like, I'm just fucking with you, and I was like, yeah, I don't smoke. And he's like, oh shit, I totally thought it was totally for you, so just that there's so many random things like people getting hit in the head with a golf ball in the office, it's just random. There'd
Well,
be
how
like
many years, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's so many random stories over the years, like just drunken mayhem at like 2 in the morning at the office and stuff. So it was cool.
that's the beauty of YouTube and being in a position to be able to do whatever you want because those ideas pop up and you're like, okay, let's talk about it or do it.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool. It's sometimes, yeah,
Just
maybe.
in general, like
I
when you
want to do.
guys,
I do want to do. I do want to do it on Click with Jeff. I've already asked him.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's definitely. Uh, I'm sure those will come up. You definitely just have to lay it out. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like my memories are even tied up with the magazine. Like if I flick through the magazine, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, like I don't. Not that I've lived uh, an insane life by any means, but I've been places that I've definitely forgot about. Yeah, I've been on trips with people that I haven't thought of in 12 years.
Holy
Oh,
crap.
I know that guy. So. Um,
You just reminded me of a story that
what's
Nina told on here with me about a
what?
time in
Oh
France,
yeah,
the fight story or something.
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, she told that story on here, and it was crazy. I remember thinking, I'm never going to have him on here to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely since I mean would assume that some people at least heard it, but we got beat up. It was DK in the Megator. It was a cool spot. It was definitely hood, and then just dumbass. I don't know. I mean, there was just people left their bags around, and
Yeah,
it's like as a photographer is like, yeah, I'm not gonna leave my bag around with a bunch of people in
right.
a foreign. Like I knew that, like, and but they didn't. And Catfish and somebody else, Quinn Semlin or something, got their bags stolen. And then of course we're looking around. The first thing I do is get the van keys, go and put my camera bag back in the van. So I'm like, my camera bag's out of the equation,
Yep.
So I put it back in the van, and then we're all looking for the bag because it's like passports and money and credit cards for the trip and the keys to one of the vans as well. Like I think there was two vans, so like, um, and of course I find the dude, like
Yep.
and my initial thing is like, oh, I'll just get the bag back. Like I'm not thinking like I'm gonna beat this. It was like a 17-year-old kid or something. Like he was a little ripped uh, French kid, but like hood French kid basically. But I was just not thinking fight. Like that wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna beat him up. I was just like, take the bag, that'll be it. And I grabbed the bag and he punched me, and I was like, fuck, I should have punched him. Damn it. Like, oh, this is a fight. Damn it. I just didn't recognize it as a fight. And
Yeah.
but in hindsight, like if I would have beat that kid up, one thing, maybe even though I tried and he still beat me up, who knows, whatever. But like, if I did beat him up and we would have gotten the shit kicked out of us,
Yeah.
like, because we were in an area that was like the, it was the hood. And when the cops came, I think Nina probably told you, but the cops got surrounded by like 20 or 30 kids and
Don't
stuff
remember
like
that.
that. Yeah, like the cops were like, basically, we can't help you. You need to go. And then the cops were like surrounded by the locals and stuff, and they were freaked out. And like the kids were like flinching them and everything. It was interesting.
Wow.
But uh, but yeah, I mean, if we would have, if if that kid would have gotten like knocked out and been on the ground knocked out, I we would have gotten pummeled, guaranteed.
Hmm.
And we would have not gotten out of there with the stuff that we did. So, but. It was a good story.
Yeah, that's crazy. And
Yeah,
for anyone who has no idea what we're talking about, you have to refer back to the Nina live stream podcast.
yeah. I
Whatever.
think at the end of Megator as well. I think we talk about it at some point in the credits or something like that. But we're all like bludgeoned. Nina
Yeah.
got popped in the nose. I had like a glorious black eye. It was hilarious. I was lumped up, but
Oh, so do you have any thoughts or ambitions on doing anything to do with print again with our BMX?
yeah. I already put this public, the that we wanted to do a year end book. And that, I mean, we're still tentative about it. The thing was is that we didn't know Dig was gonna do a year end book as well, and so
Hmm.
we just kind of felt like there was some overlap, and kind of took and I hit up Will from Dig, and
You,
I was like, hey, what do you have planned, you know? And there was some overlap editorially even within that, but not just in the year end thing, but just like another editorial feature that we were thinking, and we're like, fuck, and so um and we hit up some photographers, and then the photographers were like, I'm down. And then they're like, well, what's going on with the book, because now Dig is doing this, and it just like, so I don't know what the status of it is. I did want to do something. I just don't know. uh, I don't know. And yeah, I just don't know. I'm kind of bummed that I put it out there, because I feel like that always sucks to go back on it. And I'm
yeah.
not saying we're going back on it. We may start it up, and obviously it's not going to come out at the end of the year, but we still want to do something, but it just needs to make sense. And it just, it can't be another year end book. Like, it just needs to be something different than
Hmm.
haven't really worked that out. So, and then Nora Cup this year was like super, where like Nora Cup, when we do the live event, is uh is intense for like maybe 3 weeks beforehand. The Nora Cup this time just dragged on for so long, and editing all those videos and all that stuff like just took, and I was like getting I don't want to say anxiety, but I guess like I was getting anxious about them, and I had to pass them on to somebody else to edit at a point. Like, it just became too much, that it was, I don't know, it just became overwhelming, I guess. So that just dragged on for like 2 months of work. So going into another project like immediately after, and kind of trying to hustle through it, just like wasn't appealing to me. So we have to catch up in other aspects before starting another project. So
Yeah. So two things there. The ambition for print is there. It does
yes,
exist in some
yes,
form. And two, the Nora Cup stuff this year was really, really cool to see. All of
yeah,
the reactions and all of that was I loved that.
yeah, it was cool. I mean, I hope that I'll have the willpower to do, even if we can do the event in a live event, whatever, in next year in England, that we can do some sort of similar feature for each rider, just so it exists out there. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just hard when it's like you have Thrasher and they do Skater of the Year, but it's just like it just one. It's just one dude and they do a video about him, and it's like that's pretty fucking easy compared to eight. You know, like it's 8 times as hard to do what we did. Like
Holy
god damn
cow.
it. So
How is
so
one per how do they pick that?
the editors just pick it.
Wow.
Right.
That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
like, obviously there's no hiding the fact that Nora Cup is kind of like the popularity contest of riders, but it's always like deserved. But like one skater of all of them, that is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts for sure. So I don't know what they look at or if there's ever controversy or anything like that. I'm not that in the weeds about it, but
Yeah.
yeah, they pick one dude. So it's pretty dope.
Huh.
I mean, obviously it's pretty revered. I think it's the equivalent of Nora Cup for them. Like they don't really
Yeah.
have like the Transworld does their skate awards, or they I don't know if they're still doing it or what, but and that was cool. But and they had categories and stuff like that. But Thrasher was always just they don't even do video or video part or anything like that. They just do Skater of the Year.
Hmm.
So as far as I
Interesting.
know, fuck, I mean I don't know.
Well,
That's
hey,
all I ever seen.
there's
Yeah,
one thing we have on skate or on Thrasher.
one thing. Yeah,
That's still though like definitely big props for that this year
cool.
because it is like I feel like is a refreshing change. Like obviously it's awesome in years past, but this is like different and cool to see, and then it'll be cool
Yeah.
to go back to the normal.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was more where like Nora Cup traditionally is for obviously the winners and then the people that can actually go to the event, and then like the people at home don't necessarily, if even if they watch the live feed, like obviously it's not the same and doesn't necessarily have that same feeling where this was kind of more organic and approachable for people, you know, like and they could get those real reactions and stuff like that. So I tried my best to obviously surprise people. So um, getting stuff like that organized was like, it doesn't sound that hard, but it's also kind of hard, like you
Mm-hmm.
want people around, but you don't want to give it away. And, it's got to seem organic and, not surprise, like getting Nathan and Christian together was like, I mean, I guess when, so you saw we did the kink video
Yeah.
and then while we were doing the kink one, I surprised Nathan,
Yep.
like so when they were all together, and then literally 5 minutes after we did that, or like literally like 5 to 10 minutes, Christian walks up, and I was like, in my head, I was like, fuck, I could have just got them all three right
Oh
here,
yeah.
but I was like, no, like let's save it anyways, blah blah blah. And then that night, I went to the kink Airbnb, and I was like, should I bring the Nora Cup just in case Christian shows up, and then try and make it happen? And I was like, no. And then Christian showed up, and I was like, and then I was like, well, I'll do it over the next couple of days. And then I totally forgot that Nathan was leaving town for 2 weeks.
Oh,
So yeah, it was just like I was like, all right. So
it worked
that's why,
out though.
yeah, that's why it took so long though. It was because people were like, what is going on with the video part? Like where's video part? Where's video part? And I'm like, I don't know. Like it's coming. So
Yeah, well, the video that did come out with it with Nathan, and he's at this spot, and they're like fake filming for a video. That
I
was
know,
too good.
yeah, I know. So the GoPro and the GoPro up in the rafters basically. So
Yeah, that definitely enjoyed that one. So continuing on with these things, I have one that I guess could be considered controversial, but not. I don't know. It's kind of a straightforward answer. I
not
feel.
worth.
How do you balance content from paying sponsors versus non? and people who are like on the outside?
Yeah, easy. Um, the dividing line generally for us with brands, like riders, we don't really play the game. Like I'll post unless so there's like hard stuff where it's like uh, I'll just use Shadow or something as an example because they don't work with us. If it's from a Shadow project, but the clip is really cool,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, that's kind of weird to post. But if the clip is so fucking cool, at this point we just post it and we just tag them. Like a one tag isn't going to break the internet. So we do post that, but generally the dividing line for us is essentially Instagram hard posts, so like on the timeline, and then content, of course. Like I'm not going to go out and spend I'll just stick with Shadow. I'm not going to go out and spend a day with the Shadow team out filming when they're not working with us as a brand.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll film something with Matt Ray if he's in town for sure. Like
Yeah.
that's totally different. Like and like or I'll do an Unclick podcast with Matt Ray, or like that. A rider and the brand are definitely separate things. Um, and then if Shadow drops an edit, it's it'll get posted on the site. Uh, we'll say Shadow. If it says Shadow in the title, it probably says Shadow in the title on the site. We don't
Yeah.
like remove Shadow from stuff and pretend it's not a Shadow video when it has a giant Shadow logo, or like there's just no point.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't hyperlink to Shadow, like to their website and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then post it on Facebook, and we'll post it on Instagram story. And we just don't give it a hard timeline post. I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if other people call it a hard post, but I just call it a hard post. It's hard post, soft post.
Yeah, you
So
threw me for a little bit of a loop
yeah,
with that,
sorry.
but I understood it
Soft
after a
post is
second.
story. Yeah, hard post is timeline. So that's generally the dividing line with advertisers and non-advertisers.
Yeah.
Uh, like the uh, and then with riders, I don't really. I mean, I don't play. I don't think I favor riders because they are sponsored by the brands that support us.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't think so. Sometimes people may think that because they get reposted, but that's probably because I'm a huge fan of them more so than anything else. You know,
AKA
like,
Brad Sims.
yeah, fuck. Like,
Right.
yeah. So, I mean, but we didn't repost the 180 clip that he did today. Like,
I didn't even see
like
it,
I was
but
actually
yeah.
going to put that I meant to do that in a slider post with Chase and Chase's clip and his.
Oh yeah.
They both just like roasted, like, oh, like something like that, or a gallery Instagram. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, like, you know, we don't. I don't think we favor riders for that stuff. I mean, Adam goes through and looks at every single DM that we get. Because Adam's not necessarily like up on technical riding. Like, so if he thinks he's like, oh, this may be good enough, he sends it to our group message, and then we say yes, post it, or no, post it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and that's an unknown riders or whatever. So I think there's definitely a lot of sometimes there's confusion on how to get posted, and generally my thing is if I just want it to be something different, like something slightly different, like
Yeah.
that's all I'm really like the Brett Silva clip that I posted the other day. It's just that little it was like the rear wheel jam
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, I saw it.
R out, but it was like just the spring,
Yep.
that's it. Like that would if he would have just done that without the spring in there, like wouldn't have gotten posted.
Yeah.
But like, or it just has like a certain style, or sometimes I just post it. Sometimes you're in a mood to post shit, or you're like, fuck it, like that was sick. Like I like this kid style, or what, like sometimes there's
Mm-hmm.
like an unquantifiable element to something that gets posted. But I understand it's hard for people that want to be posted and they see a fucking free agent post and it's somebody doing like a flare double whip or something, or a 360. I don't fucking know. Some trick, like
Yeah.
something that we wouldn't normally post, but because free agent supports us, it's like, oh. Sandoval gets a post, and they're like, all right, well, I can do that trick. Why don't I get posted? And it's like, it's because I don't have sponsors that pay him. And it's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, but like I don't know. That's not that's the yeah, I guess that's worth talking shit on. In reality, like I guess, but like also if I didn't do stuff like that, then I wouldn't be able to sit down and work all on this stuff all day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a give and take in certain ways. So I mean, what's your take on it like that? Like, because I to me, I've been in it for so long that it's hard for me to sometimes see an outside opinion because I've just I've been doing this for so
On
long.
how you guys do it?
Yeah, well, just the because it's not like overnight where like it's not like now we're not doing this. It's been an evolution of like when Instagram started in 2010. Like it's
Yeah.
been a 10-year evolution of like how we make decisions and how stuff happens. So it's not like we sat out one day and penciled out a game plan.
Right. Yeah, I think I definitely appreciate the very, very what looks like intentional shift after the whole Trey Jones thing to posting more stuff from just random people. It was very like, and even now it's like there's so much stuff that pops up. At least maybe that's just when I noticed it.
Yeah, I see. To me, it wasn't really a conscious. We didn't have any shift. I don't think. I don't think so. But I mean, it could be in our head, or I don't know.
It just feels like there's a lot more that like isn't a sponsored post. I
Yeah,
guess the only thing that gets me, and this is probably just a personal thing because even on my channel, I refuse to ever even think about promoting something that isn't full chromoly, whatever. So there's like, when there's a post and it's like, salt, this part is
mm,
it's an ad for salt. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, because the only reason is because like this could be a first outlet for somebody and they see and they think that it might be like of equal like quality to other things when I mean
yeah,
clearly
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
and
I mean,
obviously you understand that's just a personal thing.
yeah, no, I mean that's totally valid. I don't know. I'd have to see the post. I mean, I would assume that it's meant to be like an entry level thing or
That was
something.
just a
Yeah,
random off the top of my head. I don't
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Um, but yeah, as far as the rider stuff, I mean, maybe having Pat on board, maybe that could have been the difference after the Trey thing, and
Well,
that's
it could just be more posts too.
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying is like Pat's on board, but I mean, we try and like if we have if it's a assault post and then it's like uh profile sends us a clip and it's kind of like oh it's kind of whatever. It's like I try and get some just straight bike riding posts. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like when there's like nothing for fucking sale. Like, hey dude, like this was sick.
Yeah.
That's it. Like yeah, scroll and get back to the ads, but like that was a cool clip. So I try and definitely carry that balance. And sometimes it's hard because sometimes there's just days where it's like oh yeah, it was pretty fucking heavy with the whack posts, but like I'm not saying whack compared to like I liked it even the amount of posts that and this is a good point because of Brad. Like we were posting Brad so much, but one he didn't have any sponsors. Two, like it
Yeah.
was just like there was nothing, there was no money moving in any sense, and it wasn't like we're like sponsor Brad. Like I was like, dude, that was fucking sick.
Yeah.
And that's generally the motivation with most things. And then the other motivation, of course, is to use our reach to promote brands that allow us to do what we do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just the circle of life in many ways. And I understand how certain people can hate it and not want to participate in it, and they don't have to, of course. Like And but that's fuck, dude. I like doing what I do, and
They're right.
and like and there's certain but with elements of every single job on the planet, I assume that there's parts of it that aren't as desirable as other parts, and
Hmm.
that's it. Like I mean I doubt anybody from Free Agent will watch this, but like I when they've supported us since essentially the near the beginning of when we started our BMX,
Yeah.
and I told Adam, I was like, dude, I don't want their money, like because it was like their stuff was like so bad in the beginning that I was like, I can't post this, like I will not put, like I was like, Adam, I won't post this, like you have to tell them, like you need to send us 5 things and hopefully there's something in there. But now, a year later, they have Buckworth on there, and
You
they
got a
have
legit team right now
yeah.
for
So they got
sure.
some dudes that are doing more, and they're doing better shit and creative shit and like out of the box style stuff that it makes it a lot easier. But in the beginning, it was pretty rough. But Adam is the money guy. Is like we're the yin and the yang. Where I'm like I will give money away. Like I'm like, oh, let's just pay this dude to just do this because
Hmm.
like and I try and support, like we don't I don't like I could get a lot more shit done if I didn't if I allowed people to do stuff for free. But like people hit us up and they're like, "Oh, just like do stuff, like I'm down to do it for free." And I'm like, "No, like I don't you can't I can't say like, "Hey, I don't care for that." Like, "Hey, that's not good enough if I'm getting it for free."
Yeah.
Like, and so there's a certain element of that to it, and then other there's just principle, like I wouldn't want to do it for free because and I shouldn't expect somebody else to do it for free. And so there's just this element of that it is a business, and it things do cost money, and we pay 6 people make money off of us, and it's
Hmm.
not and I'm not saying that's their only job, but like they make a decent chunk of money off of us every single month. And
Yeah.
like and that's part of the game, and so we have to continue to do that, so everything feeds, and you know everything moves, the circle of life, I guess. So but yeah, I mean, I get the hate, like, and I get the hate that it rises up when it's like when since you brought up the Trey thing, like having at BMX, and then it's like, and then Trey says, like I don't want them to see the Olympics, I want them to see Swamp Fest, and it's like that was his opinion, but like a lot of people would disagree with that. They don't want to see drunken fires and shit blowing up and people, landing on their head. They want to see, like that's BMX, and that's my version of BMX. I want to see that shit, but
Yeah.
like that's not everybody's version of BMX.
Well,
So
and
and I get the idea of like, oh, this, if you guys are at BMX, you guys are representing BMX, but it's also just an Instagram name. Like it's not. It's
yeah,
it's
I think where I would stand on that is I feel like in just at BMX, everything should live there, you know? So like you guys are doing a really good job of keeping it well rounded, and
Mhm.
you're doing it in a way that sustains what you're doing. And I think that there's I mean, obviously there might be other ways to do things and ways to branch out, whatever, but you're doing it in a really, really good way and you're transparent about it. Obviously, like anytime you've ever been given a chance to talk about this stuff, you're honest and you talk about
Yeah.
it. So like
Yeah.
no one could really, I mean, you could fault it, but you'd be a dick for doing that because you're just being honest. And then my point of view for on showing everything is it's like think about like if you had to do that, think about if someone's saying like you need to show everything, think
Yeah.
about how much happens in BMX, how much has happened in the history of BMX,
Yeah.
plus is going on every single day. It's just impossible with six
Yeah. I mean,
people.
well, and then so whoever's saying that, they're not even thinking about racing.
Yeah,
You know,
true
like
that. That wasn't in my
yeah,
mind.
they're not thinking. Yeah, like so it's a I think Nick from Challenger, who despite being the spark for this, I still do love him. I know him. We did talk about it, and I don't think he liked. At a point, I just said, "Hey, dude, like we're gonna have to agree to disagree." And I think he
Mm-hmm.
did. I don't think he liked it, but he did say he's like, "Oh, maybe it's just like a utopian idea of it." You know, like I don't think anybody should have it. I think it's a utopian thing. Is like nothing represents BMX, like
Mm-hmm.
nothing. You know, and it's like I get that, but it to me, it's also just a username. I don't think anybody it goes like, "Oh, this is you know." I If you go to skateboarding.com, it's Transworld Skate. If you go to bmx.com, it's GT Bikes. Like,
What?
why is
That's
if you go,
funny.
well, it's sorry,
I'll
it's a
just
shell.
type it in and see for
Yeah,
myself.
it's a shell of GT. It's a side. It's a GT focused website, aggregate website.
Oh, I see what you're saying
Yeah,
here.
but it's all GT content. So, but nobody, why somebody would get in a tiff over Instagram is because you put too much emphasis on Instagram. Like you think it pulls that much weight that like it's going to like it's like, oh, maybe just get off Instagram,
Yeah,
you know,
I think
because BMX exists a lot in a lot of different places other than Instagram, like
right.
on websites, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Reddit, on whatever else,
Oh, I don't
like
even
it.
want to talk about Reddit.
I
But
Reddit.
uh, I think that if you compare, I mean, I wasn't paying really close attention to what you guys were doing when that all came up. But if you look at, give it a week sample size of every post from our BMX, you have stuff from a long time ago. You got trails, you'll have
Yeah,
flatland,
yeah,
you'll have street, you'll have skate park, you'll have viewers, you'll have people from international, you'll have people from the US, you have, if there's some kind of contest even going on, there'll be that too. Then you're going to have your company stuff. So I think, in all honesty, it's all there. And if I was going to give, if I had to complain about something, it would just simply be the fact that not all companies can be represented whenever you're
yeah.
running a business.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that would be so. One, thank you. I'm glad you recognize that because I don't even think of it like that. Like, yeah, that's also kind of a reflection off on the staff. Like, uh, Adam's a trail dude. I ride more parks than anything these days, but I grew up riding street and dirt and everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Jeff and Justin and Pat are super street focused. And like Terry texts me clips. Vicky Gomez will email me clips. Matthias will send me stuff. So like the flat community, I hope they know that they can just reach out, and I generally just take their fucking. I'm like, this must be crazy if they're sending it because they don't send it. They don't send me stuff every week. So if it is
Yeah.
like if you feel like people need to see this, then I trust you. Um, so that yeah, there's no. I think people think there's a lot of thought put into it when there's
Mm-hmm.
not. Like it's like generally it's like fuck, I gotta post. I'll get an email from David We the People, and he's like, hey, can you post this? It's a new salt product, blah blah blah. And I'm like, and it's sent to all of us, and so somebody will post it,
Yeah.
and that's how it works. It's not like we need a We the People post. We're short one. It's not that calculated. There's not that much thought put into it. Like we're posting Logan Penberg because he's this, and it's like no, it's because he manual the this is like 5 months
Yeah.
ago. It's like I gotta plug in my computer. Uh, it's there's really not that much thought, and sometimes I forget to even tag brands. So Dave will email me back and be like, "You're like, oh, can you just posted that clip? Can you tag
Yeah.
blah in that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, my bad." Like that happens all the time. So it's
Well,
just
and the other thing that just popped into my head too is that um, another part of this is that it's not something that gets talked about all the time. I mean, aside from what we just talked about with that
yeah,
podcast and everything before, this is the first time I remember hearing you or anybody talk specifically about content and all of those things. So, like, if people
yeah,
don't know, they just assume.
Yeah, no, it definitely, and I could see how they can draw conclusions from certain things because, as I said, like they see, a post that is, uh, not an amazing, unreal, creative clip, and then they don't realize that it's like, yeah, that's because Odyssey sent it over, or and it's part of a video, blah blah blah. Like it's a video for a STEM and it's a promo thing or something. So they just see us post something, and then they're like, well, I can that what I sent them last week was better and they didn't post it, it's because that I'm not somebody or
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sucking their dick and whatever like they just get riled up about it and I could see that. But that's just generally it's just not there's just multiple elements behind the scenes probably that they can't see the decision making process. So if I could talk about it, then that's cool. Um, but yeah, that is the game. The game is hard, and and I'm not necessarily a money guy. Like I don't care to be. I'm not money motivated
Yeah.
for the most part. I don't necessarily do shit specifically for money. I have a lot of things that I do that I know will be a lot of work that will probably fuck me over for the stuff that will make me money. So like
Mm-hmm.
take up all my energy and time and thought for the stuff that actually does pay the bills, and that's where I have to watch myself. So it's it is a hard game, and it's just but it's like I said, it's like one that I've been playing for a long time, so it's hard for me to like when I see other like the Nathan video part thing, like when I
Mm-hmm.
see other people talk about it and I'm like, oh, you don't understand. Like to me it's so like I can read between the lines on all this stuff because I've for the most part at least that I've been involved with it for so long that I know how it works. And when I see stuff that is like, hey, that's not actually true, and it kind of misrepresents the motivation behind it, that it's like, oh, that like I should say something, and
Are you
like
talking
that would
about the comment you left on my video about it?
yeah, on the Nathan video. That's what I
Yeah.
said. Yeah. The like that was like but it was like that wasn't the reason behind the project. Like it wasn't that brands didn't want to do it. He never asked a single
Yeah.
brand. So it's like it's it was just for their own thing. Like so it was like no, like yeah, sure, okay, maybe brands are broke, but that wasn't the reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever, like because brands will pay several $1,000s for a video. Like it does happen, but that just wasn't the case in that instance. So, but of
Basically, the point is that there's always three sides to everything,
course,
and
yeah,
that I think that just talking about everything we just talked about is and letting people know, like being transparent is the most important side of
yeah,
things. And obviously, you're not just going to go and put an Instagram story up like, hey guys, we don't curate our posts based on
yeah,
who pays us. Like,
yeah,
that's part of like why I kind of want to do stuff like this is like, yes, you've heard my criticisms already, even
yeah,
tonight. And so, like, you've had a chance to respond to that. You've been transparent about everything. And that's kind of why I like to do things the way I do
yeah.
things.
No, and you have you're lucky in certain ways that like if you post something and it's not necessarily accurate, I assume most people from the industry don't just like jump down like
No one's
throat.
ever. You're the only person who's ever left a comment and been like, "Hey, well, actually, no. When I talked about BSD's challenge video for the Battle of the Brands,
Hmm.
I'm assuming it was Grant who left the comment saying, "I think you're going to be excited about our edit video because it
Oh
was
yeah,
like, what is going on? You just cut out everything good."
yeah, yeah.
But that's the only time, and honestly, I would appreciate it if some people reached out. I've had a lot of people reach out from companies to me and stuff, but I've
Oh yeah,
never
yeah.
really been corrected or anything like that.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I make a small misstep in anything, I'm like,
You're under a
it's like,
microscope.
yeah, I get a text right away, and it's like, and it becomes like difficult in a sense that it's sometimes it's hard to do something without getting all the facts
Yeah.
beforehand. Because if I make an assumption and then I'm wrong, it's like it's difficult. And so it's like when I see, the planet, like the planetary video that you posted, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like the name and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it could be right, but like if I said that, oh my God, I would get in.
Even just joking
Yeah,
about it like I
yeah.
did.
I would just get torn apart by,
Well,
I mean, Grant's really nice,
he
but
sent
like,
me a hug. He's really, really nice.
yeah, exactly. So, you may be right too. I'm just
I
saying
wasn't right.
oh,
He told me when he called me the other day. He's like, actually, or he didn't say actually. He's just told me the story that it was called that, like, at the very beginning, 2 years
2 years
ago,
ago.
a year before I even made my videos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of figured that was my thought. I was like, well, your video, like they've been working on it for 2 years, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like I feel I'm jealous in a way that in a certain way that you can kind of just like, and I feel like one, you're better at getting complete thoughts out.
Oh,
See, I
dude,
just stumbled right now. So
it's not better. It's just that I do it that many times until it's right.
yeah, like, yeah, those source videos and all that stuff, and any talking stuff when it's just me, dude, it sucks.
Hey,
I
you can hire me and I'll make them for you.
Yeah, you want to?
I'll
You want to fucking the amount of product that I have at my house right now is absolutely staggering. So,
you gotta
um,
send it all back,
most of it, yeah, not all of it though. So
bro.
I got.
Legit, I would be so happy to remake half of my videos better than I did the first time.
Would you? I just have this box in here, but I think the the Tront load stem,
The what?
the I'm sorry, I had another hard post, soft post.
Tront load?
Yeah, the top front load.
Bro, hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I got that one too. You.
I got two.
Oh, you
So
got two.
I'm late though. They're probably going to be bummed. I haven't done anything yet. So,
Just ship all that to Ohio. I'll make the videos and we'll be good.
uh, yeah. So I mean, that's part of the thing is I do need to pass stuff off to other people at a point, and that's because it becomes overloading, and I can't do the stuff. I'm not saying I'm hiring you at this moment, but like if you were able to do that stuff for me, it would relieve me and let me focus on the stuff that I'm better at because I'm
I'll
not that good at,
I'll tell
you
you
know.
1000%. I don't care that we're on the internet live right now. I would do that.
Well, maybe we'll talk. I'll talk to Adam. Adam again. Adam's a money guy.
I did
And
have Creasy reach out to me about their affiliate thing. I'm sure you
oh,
guys are part of that, but
no, we
oh
don't do that.
well, either way, uh, I just never responded because I ride for a bike shop and I just kind of felt like I'd feel
Yeah,
guilty all the time.
yeah. Well, I mean, even with that, I mean, that's another thing. Is like if you see me generally, if I post something and it's not, if it's a source post, of course I say source. But if it's like another product thing, I'm like, yeah, you can get it at odysseybmx.com,
Mm-hmm.
your local bike shop, or and if your local bike shop if you have one, or your favorite mail order, and then I usually put in parentheses, we recommend sourcebmx.com.
Yeah.
Like that's like I try and because like I understand bike shops. Like I have friends that have bike shops and owned bike shops and don't own bike shops anymore. The whole gamut. Have them right
Mm-hmm.
now, don't have them. Like, and so it's like I get it, and I understand that it's hard, and the whole shop versus mail order thing is just difficult. But if you don't have a shop, you don't have a shop, and I feel like that's the case for a lot of kids these days. So
You're totally right. I probably should get on that. I just it's
yeah.
one of those things.
I mean, if you want to sell out, man.
You want to hear my opinion on selling out? I feel
What's
like
that?
selling out, in a sense, sometimes could be having a job that you hate with a boss that you hate because you have to sell out to pay your bills. The
Yeah,
same way that making a video for some random, if I make a video for Bliss Text because they paid me, like,
yeah,
I'd rather sell out for that than to sell out having a job I hate.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. Blistex let me quit my job, so fuck you. You
Yeah,
know, like that.
literally.
Yeah. So I mean, that's there's different aspects to all of it for sure. So it's it's a hard line to walk sometimes, and sometimes, and as I said on the Trey podcast, sometimes we don't get it right. You know, like we're not perfect by any means.
Yep.
Like so when you brought up like all the trail jams, and then I was in Australia covering X Games, and there was all these X Games posts, but nothing about all these awesome trail jams. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, like, but
Mm-hmm.
my retort was, what about all the other weekends? You know, like, yeah, we didn't get it right that time. Like, but what about because it was in October or November, and then and we're in March, and it's like when that thing came out, and it was like, what about all the weekends after that? Like, did we do
Yeah.
better? You know, like, and it's like, and X Games doesn't pay us. Like, I wasn't paid. Like, I got paid to do monster stuff, but at X Games, I did that stuff because I was there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's we don't get it right. We're definitely not perfect. I'm sure there's a ton of things you can call us out on, and I'd be like, they're like, yeah, that's paid, or yeah, that you're totally right. Like, I wish we could have done that differently, or or I'd say like, yeah, I was super busy and J Bone from Posh didn't email me. But now J Bone knows he can email me. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
something that came out of the trade thing. I'm like, dude, if you have something going on, hit me up. Like, and we just generally do story posts. Like that's because story posts are easy these days. But every once in a while we'll do a hard. But we just don't do flyers on there. It's like
Well,
we
that'd be, you'd have 10 flyers
yeah,
every two
we get
weeks if you did that.
yeah, if not more, it'd be insane. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for improvement with everything, of course, and I have no ego about like we're doing it the best or we're doing it perfect by any means. Like I fucking suck at certain things.
That's why I'm gonna make your spotlight
Yeah,
videos.
product is an ongoing battle, man. It's hard for sure.
Um, yeah, and I feel like on that note, there's a certain amount of like mess up that is completely understandable from somebody in your guys' position, and you are nowhere near the line of being like over that mess up line. You know, where it's like
Yeah, yeah.
anybody who's complaining, I feel like, is kind of
Looking for something or
being critical because
yeah.
and slash or they don't know that all they have to do is reach out.
Yeah, yeah, or they have a direct attachment to something, like something that they had got neglected or something, and I get that idea, and yeah, but I mean, my email address is on the website. Obviously, you could send me a DM. I see all of those pretty much. Don't do Facebook. Don't
Facebook is the worst thing ever.
I don't check Facebook. Well, I check Facebook, but I don't check like the messenger thing. Is just I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how it works. Like yeah. So, but yeah, all that stuff. I'm down. I mean, I talk. Like if you send me something, I mean, you don't send us stuff, so I know it's like if you sent me something every day and like I'd be like, yeah, I think I've probably told you. I'm like, yeah, we're not gonna post this, but I'll tell you
Oh
like
yeah,
yeah,
there have been
like
times. I mean, I've
yeah,
kind of just learned the line of like what would even be, and I'm at a point now where like I'm not even gonna bother because it's like I'm not gonna waste your guys' time, and I'm gonna wait to send you something that I feel like I genuinely like want people to see.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think that's an important idea, but it took a little while to get there, and so some people don't necessarily make that connection.
Right. I mean, there was
They'll
times where I
send me
sent
something.
you. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's all right.
Just gonna say there's times where I sent you 3 emails. Like it
Yeah,
happened,
yeah,
but it ended
yeah.
up
It's all
yeah.
But I mean, we hosted your video in California too. So
Yeah.
it's like, stuff like that. And that may have taken 3 emails, but if it fucking sometimes that's the way it works. Like Terry Adams, Terry Adams will send me a clip and I'm like, oh, I'll post it in the morning, and I forget to post it. And this literally happened on yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't post it in the morning, and all he did was give my comment a like, so it brought the text message back
Yeah.
up to the top, and it was like 1 p.m. or something. I'm like, you sly motherfucker, and then I posted it. Like so, it's
Yep.
like that's, I mean, that's the way it works,
Well, you got to
and
realize
for emails too.
how many people are reaching out to you or Adam or Jeff or
Yeah,
Justin or Pat on a daily basis.
the DMs are insane, and that's I at Ride, I gave up. There's no way I even bothered. And fortunately, Adam is pretty vigilant about that, and he does a good job and Pat too actually gets in there for some reason, even though it doesn't need to.
Yeah.
uh, and they do a fairly good job of either, I think they will just like something or whatever, but going through and seeing if there's anything worth reposting. So, but it is absolutely daunting. I don't even know how many there is. I mean, it's got to be 40 a day or something like that.
It's
If not,
crazy.
if not more, 40 to 100, I would assume. So,
It's
um,
absolutely crazy.
it gets, so,
While we're
which is
sitting here chatting about direct sending and things, I will be in contact with you about the last section of the DVD I just finished.
yeah, for sure.
Because I want to upload it on mine, but I think it's something that people are going to want to see.
I mean, we've been doing it lately where you could host it for whatever 5 days or something like
Yeah.
that, and then we'll host it afterwards. So I mean, I it's weird how it doesn't really seem to affect stuff all that much. I mean, I don't want to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm battling that a little bit just on my YouTube algorithm brain, basically, on what's best for the channel, etc. So I don't want to do that too often, but I'm down for that stuff. So like the
Mm-hmm.
stuff, like we hosted that, the Wictor edit, re-hosted it for We the People last week and stuff. So
Yeah. Which I
so
think is only doing good things at this point
yeah,
because
I
it's
mean,
getting.
I don't know how many. I mean, I think ours is like, I was trying not to do the full screen, but
Oh,
I
you're
mean, I think
okay.
we're at like 25,000, and then We the People, so it's weird, and there's not a single like comment about like giving us shit.
I don't
It's
think
like
people
people
care anymore.
understand. Yeah.
Maybe a couple
So
people, but I just don't think people care.
yeah, I think they just keep it moving. So
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, that is that's that's life for me.
Yeah,
And
I feel like we're at a really good stopping point right now,
oh,
and I would definitely enjoy doing this again sometime and just bullshitting about BMX and what's going on and everything.
cool. Yeah, sorry, I just hit a weird button on Skype. I was trying to share my screen or something. Yeah, I'm down. Like I said, I mean, just when the once the kid gets out of daycare, it's generally kid dad time. So I try and run that, and then my office is next to his bedroom, so I can't
Yeah.
like, he goes to bed like right now. So I'm not saying that I need to get off, but generally, like, that's why unclicks are usually in the middle of the day. Like that's the only time I can really do them. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe one, in a couple of years when he gets a little bit older and doesn't want to draw on everything. He wanted to draw when he came in here.
He
So
becomes your young Jamie.
yes, yes, yes. He will be responding to Instagram DMs in 3 years.
That's funny. Well, hell yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on here. I definitely would enjoy doing it again. Maybe a Monday sometime. That's when I could do it midday.
Cool. Yeah, that generally works. Yeah, just like I tell everybody, even if it's like anybody really, I'm like, just give me a day or two ahead, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty whatever I have planned for that day, I generally need to stick in that. I can't deviate. Like
Right.
if I'm not going riding in the morning, I'm not going riding. So,
Yeah.
um, but that's yeah, I'm down.
Cool. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone watching right now.